yo, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Yellow the Poet, and today I am here with Mr. Tully. Mr. Tully is a serial entrepreneur, definitely doing his thing in the real world of success. He's a published author. He has published a book, Unleash. How do I say it? Unleashing the hustle within. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to check out Mr. Tully and definitely learn more about what Mr. Tully has got going on. First off, welcome to YTP Entertainment. Definitely greatly appreciate you coming through and definitely appreciate you being a guest on the show. Please let the audience know what you got going on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Tullie Bailey. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I, you know, work. I've worked in the nightclub industry for a number of years. I also own a couple businesses. Um, and then I've written a couple books to kind of talk about the journey and get it popping in that way.
Awesome. Awesome. That's what's up, man. I was reading on your profile, and I definitely gotta say you got a story. You definitely got a story to tell, no doubt about that. So one of the first things that I actually want to dabble into is what made you dive into being an entrepreneur?
It's interesting. So I wrote the most recent book because people keep asking me how I've been able to attain the success that I've gotten to, right? Like I dropped out of high school. I had my first daughter when I was 14. I come from a really hard background, and that environment, there was nothing and you had to figure it out, Like I remember being really, really young and me and my brothers like digging through dumpsters, getting pop bottles that we would go and recycle. And it was one of these things where like, my mom, she my father passed away when I was 2 years old. My mom was a single parent, 5 kids at 23. And so we didn't have a lot extra. And so me and my siblings, we would just go out and find all these crazy little hustles because we wanted bubble gum and candy. We wanted to play games, and mom just couldn't do that. So we had to figure it out. And that's where the entrepreneurship really started. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur back then, right? Like I was just trying to play Mortal Kombat at the convenience store.
That's pretty cool, man. I really like that, no doubt. And so after that time, you decided, okay, let me take this a step further. And what was your next step after that?
Well, again, my upbringing was in a pretty rough environment, and so I kind of started at a pretty young age dabbling in some criminal activity that wasn't necessarily what I should have been doing, but it was where I was at. There was only certain people getting money, and so I kind of went into that realm, right? Stealing car stereos and selling bags of weed and different things. And I did that for a number of years and got really successful. And what I didn't know then that I know now was I was learning how to manage inventory. I was learning how to advertise a product. I was learning how to manage a team. And I did that from probably when I was like 11 through like 15, and then at 15 I got into some pretty hot water. My house got raided, and I ended up going to jail I ended up being like from when I was 15 till I was 18. And while I was in there, like a number of people that I was close to also had got in trouble just while I was down. And I came to recognize, yo, I can't really go back to that, right? Like my sister, who was also involved in some of those things, she ended up going to prison for like 12 years. My brother got locked up for my brother-in-law got locked up for 30 years. And so while I'm in this boot camp in some faraway city, I see all this happening. I'm through the letters they're writing me, and I'm just like, man, I can never go back to that. I have to figure this out. And I got out when I was almost 18, and kind of really didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was really, and I started, you know, the whole time. The only thing that the whole time, hip hop music was like really what spoke to me because it was the only messaging that was similar to my story, right? Like my dad died in jail when I was 2. I'm out here in these streets trying to figure it out. So like that storyline resonated with me, and so I was like, man, maybe I'll try to be a rapper like so many people. And this is back in like I want to say 2000.
Right.
So I kind of take a job in the oil and gas because it's a dangerous job, but there's a lot of money there, and I see that there's flexibility in the schedule. So I'm working 2 weeks and I have 2 weeks off, and so during my 2 weeks off, I start booking and promoting events and throwing events, and I start first playing locally, and then regionally, and then nationally.
Man.
But what I came to recognize during that, I had already learned how I'm ordering merch and CDs, and I'm routing these tours, and I had already been doing some of those things, those business things when I was 13, 12. I had taught myself through my unsavory entrepreneurial endeavors.
That's
Um, and then yeah, I toured the world. I ended up touring the world, playing shows all over the UK, all over Europe, all over the US.
mhm.
Um, and it was great. And then eventually, um, I decide that I don't want to be on the road as much, and I start just throwing shows in Colorado and in Arizona.
Mhm.
Still working in the oil and gas industry. That 2 weeks on, 2 week off schedule, and then eventually I decide that I want out of the oil field and I start working in the bar space, right? Because I came to recognize like I knew how to fill rooms. I could get people excited about coming to shows
Mhm.
through my experience booking and promoting tours. And so I just take a job at a bar, and because I worked in the oil and gas industry, because I have been so creative with how I pursued my entrepreneur endeavors, I
Mhm.
came to the club space with a fresh perspective that allowed me to really excel, right? So I'm out working everybody. Within a year, I'm managing the back of house of the bar. Within a couple of years, I'm the manager of the whole bar, and then I'm the manager of 2 bars. And fast forward to now, I'm the general manager of 5 nightclubs. Two of them the biggest in the state. One of them was voted the best nightclub in the world at one point.
Awesome.
Um, and yeah, and then from there, just pursued all kinds of different entrepreneurial things, and like right now, my big thing, I have this me and my wife started this ice cream, kind of think like a ice cream coffee venture that has like a street art component. We have graffiti artists all over, burning up all the walls. We opened one about 6 months ago, and we're opening two more in the next 3 weeks, and then we have two food trucks that are out in the street pushing. So
Awesome.
it's kind of like a quick rendition of my story, I guess.
That is awesome, man. That's nothing wrong with that. That's it just truly goes to show that irregardless of what we did when we were younger, we can always put ourselves in a better position in our lives. And that's just, it takes that ingenuity, it takes that determination, it takes that realization when you realize that you could be putting forth such valid effort into doing something that's more productive in your life. There's nothing in the world that speaks volumes or speaks blessings than making that change, stepping up.
Yeah, one of the things I talk about in my newest book, which is Unleashing the Hustle Within: Advice for a Positive and Productive Life, I go over, my little car stereo theft ring that we had, and the process, and how I incentivized employees, and how we built a team. And I do that not so much because I'm trying to glorify what we were doing at what I really want is, whether you're the owner of a major company and you see some of these kids come in that look a little rougher than you're used to, or you're a kid from a tough environment that you don't know what to do, I want you to recognize that you're building skills that are applicable for the rest of your life. So like what I was doing at that time, managing a team, having a sales infrastructure, those were tools that I brought to my other ventures down the line. So, that there was no other 12-year-olds that were doing what I was doing on that level. And I was able to take that experience and apply it to other aspects of my life as I grew as an entrepreneur. And yeah, in the book I talk about it because I want the CEOs of companies to read this book and be like, wow, this, that there's something to be said about a young person in the streets that figures it out.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And a lot of people say that you're leading a life where there's no silver lining, but that's crap. Obviously, there is a silver lining. It all depends on how you look at yourself and how you structure the different events that you've encountered in your life. When you start to structure things, it makes a total difference than when you were just out there just buck wild and not really
Hmm.
paying attention to all the things that you're doing. In that aspect, most of the time people will spend a lot of time constantly going in and out of jail, constantly back and forth in those same bad situations and not learning anything from them. But when
Hmm.
you actually learn something from it and turn it into an empire, oh my goodness, your
Yeah.
world, the way you view things is different. The way you consistently move forward in your life is different. Now walking forward instead of walking backwards. And I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I grew up in a rough lifestyle. I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
So
Love
that's a lot
Chicago.
to say about Chicago.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be said. I mean, I was right there in the heart of all of the different drug deals, all the different types of street hustles, pretty much anything that you can name, I was right in the middle of it, right
Hmm.
there. So to come from that and to be happy that I'm not in that lifestyle anymore, I'm not in that space anymore. My life has changed, things are different, and I get to see life in a different perspective.
Absolutely. But I also, there's something to be said about people that have experienced that kind of upbringing, that kind of environment. It like if you come from a rougher neighborhood, like, you have to be quick on your toes. You have to have a response mechanism.
That is so true. That is so, so true.
um Real quick synopsis what I got going on today. I just bought this other ice cream cafe that's in the neighborhood where all my nightclubs are, right? The ice cream thing, we have our own refreshers, our own beverages, and it's really doing well. And so now I'm bringing it into the neighborhood where, like, the five nightclubs that I manage are, just to help expand and grow that business.
Awesome.
Uh Same time, we're I have a festival tomorrow, and so, like, I'm literally outside of Shamrock, which is a restaurant supply store, about to
Well,
go in, get the products, take it to the ice cream shop, and then tonight I'll be at the club. Like, I generally work 18 hours a day. Like, I don't really I I go to sleep, and I usually sleep 4 hours, and then once that 4 hours is up, my eyes open, I hop up and start running.
all over
Uh
again.
and yeah, for some reason I thought this podcast was at 2, and I was like, oh, I'll have time, and I was like, damn, oh, it's right now. So my apologies.
At
Uh,
my It's actually 2 o'clock at my time.
see, but the back to what I was saying, the point that I was making is, we often we're beat down by culture that what we're doing is wrong, where we came from is this, and the purpose of the book is to really show people like, nah, man, like that's breeding ground for successful people. You're in the streets, you have to have a quick wit to you. You have to understand how to move, you have to have a sensibility about you that recognizes the dangers, the how things are gonna move, where the profit's gonna be. And because of that, you're probably more adept to find a level of success within a company or on your own, where a lot of these people that maybe they grew up in an environment where they didn't have to test themselves for as early on as a lot of us, they're not battle tested. And if you come from the environments that we come from, we have a certain degree of just battle test. We've been out there, we've been to war, we understand how to succeed and survive complicated situations. And I really want people, if anything is taken from that book, I want the business owners to recognize that. And I want the people that come from those environments to really value who they are and what they bring to the table, because they bring a lot. They're not told that. Someone needs to tell them.
Yes, indeed. I totally agree with you. I had a friend of mine, he had just passed about 2 years ago. He just got out of prison, just passed away, but he was one of the most humble guys. Even though he was out there doing his things on the streets, he was
Hmm.
one of the most humble guys, and he got taken out by a guy that was in the younger generation than us, not realizing that all he had to do was just go up to him and talk to him. And he would have talked to him. This dude would even give you the shirt off his back. He didn't care what name brand it was or anything. He would
Hmm.
give you the shirt off his back literally. And I literally stood there when we were doing our thing, watching him give somebody a shirt off his back.
Yeah.
This is nothing. This is nothing. He say, man, it's always a way that can be replaced. He say, but for you to be standing out here in the cold, you don't have anything on. It's like, man, this is nothing. I can get that back.
Yeah, I'll
So
figure it out.
yeah. And he showed the young guy actually how to hustle the same way that we were hustling out there on the streets. He showed the young guy how to hustle, and the young guy stayed by his side the whole entire time.
Hmm.
That side. So it's always something, just like you stated, that we could learn, that we can show other people, because being out there on the streets, not only do we have to be sharp with it, but we have to be able to read people. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be able to read people, because
Hmm.
if you don't read these people that you're coming in contact with, man, you mess around and set yourself up for something that you would never be able to come back from.
And,
And
and and so with that, like, let's just stick on that skill set of being able to read people. At this juncture in my life, I'm right, like right now, presently, there's this very large club conglomerate worth 950 million that's coming and buying two venues that are in our network. And I've had multiple encounters where I've had to sit with these people and have conversations, delicately navigate the business transactions. And one of the skill sets that I can bring to the table is when you walk in the room, I can see how you move and know what kind of person you are, how, based on my experience in dealing with people quickly, and that skill has served me every step of the way, right? Like whether I was out on the drilling rig or encountering fans when I was touring as a rapper, like I had that sensibility. And I think we're not celebrated for the things that we should be celebrated, and I think it's important that from as entrepreneurs, as we develop and succeed and grow, it's important that we tell the younger generation and the business owners, like, look, the reason you like me so much, the reason I've helped you build so much wealth, is because I come from this environment that is frowned on, and I see the world through this filter that a lot more people do. And hopefully by doing this, we can start breaking down the wall and empowering some of our younger generations, like you said, that younger generation kid that put harm on your boy, right? If these kids understood their value, they would see the future that is laid out for them, and they could develop and grow, and they wouldn't be insecure and then go take on another man and harm them, right? Because you would understand your success. And that's what I'm really trying to do is just empower the young people, empower people from my generation, and empower the business owners of the world to see this wealth of talent that's out there in the world.
Mhm. Yes, indeed, and there is a ton of it, and people like us who've had such a rough upbringing and a rough background, a lot of people kind of placate on that, and they kind of like try to downplay it, try to put us down. But the only thing that you're actually putting down is your level of understanding, your level of being able to see a person for who they truly are versus who you want them to be. Because irregardless of where you came from or where anybody else came from, when you start to look at other people and you start to analyze what you see, are you analyzing the truth or are you analyzing what you want this person to be? And when you start to analyze the truth reveals itself far more than what you want this person to be. In
Mhm.
other words, if you're going to analyze me and you're not sure, stay neutral about it. Stay in the middle until I actually speak to you, I talk to you, I actually do some form of communication with you or interaction with you. Then at that point, start to judge what you think and what you assume to know about me.
Absolutely. And one step further, like look at me knowing that there's value that lives in me somewhere, you know? Approach it like that. You know, I might come from a different environment, I might look a different way, I might speak and move in a way that's not familiar to you, but if you if you take the time and come to that conversation knowing that there's value in this interaction,
Mhm.
those those moments are going to flourish, and we're going to be able to build on that, as opposed to like looking at, this guy an interaction and being like, oh no, he doesn't represent what I understand, so he probably can't bring nothing to my table. Truth be told, everybody has something to offer,
That's true. Even the people with the lower education, they can bring something to the table. You just got to figure out what that is.
i, I mean, I did not graduate high school, I didn't make it past the ninth grade, right? And I manage a company that does 50 million a year, and I did that from the education that I got on the ground, not in a school. I mean, I'm not downplaying school. Like my wife came from Eritrea, and her culture, it was very hard. Like the family were like, "You're gonna go and succeed in school," right? They came from East Africa, and they had to. In their community, the elders were like, "Yo, like, no, you're gonna go to school and you're gonna graduate and you're gonna succeed." And my wife had a full ride scholarship and did all that, and that's great. But that's not the only way. There is a million ways to get to one place. It's just the path that you choose.
Yes, it is. There's this serial entrepreneur. I forgot his last name, but his first name is Tony.
Okay.
He dropped out of elementary school in the eighth grade, and he started being an entrepreneur. With his entrepreneurship, he ended up owning like a lot of real estate, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of houses, because those were the types of things that he was really into.
Yep.
This man became one of the most successful real estate entrepreneurs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people didn't even know that his furthest education was only up to the eighth grade. And he dropped out in the eighth grade.
Yeah.
And this dude, like, even to this day, this dude is still selling millions and millions of dollars in real estate, still making millions and millions of dollars
Mhm.
in real estate. So education, education in my sense of what education is, because even though I graduated from college, I did all those things,
Sure.
but college didn't get me to where I am today. College only added a few words to my vocabulary. That's all it really did. Because
Hmm.
once you get out there and you're doing everything that you need to do, that's when your education is really valid. That's when you start to learn and while you're figuring things out and you're moving, making moves out here on these streets. Because irregardless if the streets were the the nicest streets. If you were in an upscale neighborhood, a lower scale, a high class neighborhood, it didn't matter. None of those neighborhoods mattered. You're still on the streets. And as long as you're out here on these streets and you're doing things that are going to not only benefit you, but benefit the society in which you live in, you're being educated in
Yeah.
reality. You're being
Every
educated.
every step of the way. If you open the door and step outside, there's an opportunity to take something with you,
Hmm.
in terms of experience. And that experience develops into the kind of person that you are and how you use it.
Yes, indeed.
What do you do outside of this podcast?
Outside of the podcast, I'm a published author. I
Yeah,
also perform poetry. I do um, creations. I do the social media creator.
yeah,
So out of that, I'm doing all those different things. Plus, I'm working a regular job right now
sure.
because I've taken a fallback for a loss of several things, and now I'm getting back on my feet.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress, but guess what? Nothing's gonna keep me down.
Yeah, every day that we're able to get out there and get it is a blessing. And it's man, I I'm the same way. I probably work 18 hours a day, but I try to do it to where I can like we started this ice cream and energy drink business. And I did that to, like, my wife was kind of wanting to get out of the financial thing, and so now she runs that, and now I'm helping and doing a bird's eye view thing, and we're bringing our daughter in, and we're creating this family thing, and finding ways to make it work for us. That's what's important. Is you take a breath, you look around, you decide, well, what do I really want to do with this life, and how do I want to make my impact on the world, and how do I want to contribute, and that's
Yeah.
that's awesome, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I'm also doing relationship coaching. So whenever I get a chance to help people build stronger relationships, a lot of people when I say relationships, the first thing they think about is couples. But those are not the only relationships in this world. I mean, anytime you are doing things and you're interacting with your children, that's a relationship. Anytime you meet a new person on the street, for that moment, it may be temporary, but that's still a relationship, even if it's a temporary one.
I mean, business. I can think of so many business partners that have strained relationships. I can think of competitors. Like, when you compete with somebody, you can have a competitor that you respect and value, and you guys bring that to your dynamic, or it could be a bitter, harsh thing, and that's not healthy, right? It's not healthy to be in business and to have this chip on your shoulder against the other people that are in business. So I 100% understand how valuable a relationship coach could be.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I love it. I love doing it. I love building people up and helping people understand that it's real simple to have a relationship. It's not as complicated as people make it out to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just got to know what to do. Just got to take a few small steps.
Are you still in Chicago now?
No, I'm actually in Texas now,
Tag. Okay, what part of Texas?
in Gerald, Texas. It's
Okay.
like in, the military base and Austin. We're like 20 minutes away from the military base and 20 minutes away from Austin.
Okay, word. When I was doing the oil and gas thing from 2000 to like 2014, most of the companies were based out in Houston. So I've taken a lot of trips, and then as a musician, I also toured and played a lot of shows throughout Texas.
Cool.
Austin being one of those markets that we would hit regularly with South by Southwest and all of that. Um, yeah, I was just curious. I love people, man. I love interacting and getting to know people and building. I hate, like, I don't want to say networking in the realm of like the thing that whole thing, but like, I just like knowing people because I like going places and knowing who to call when I want to know where the best barbecue thing is. And I love it when people come to my market and they're like, "Yo, like, where is the best club, or where can I get the best barbecue, or whatever." Like, that's important. I, I remember, I'll give you a tour story. It was like a cultural thing. we were touring Europe. In this leg of the tour, we had like 10 shows in France and like a couple in Brussels, couple in Spain, couple in Germany. And the local artist was they were driving us, right? Like so they booked the rental, they kind of booked that leg of the tour, and so they were driving us. And for they were French, and so for all the French shows, we kind of stayed at their spot, which was central. And I remember like every night we would eat spaghetti with ketchup, right? And that was just like a thing that he did. And we would joke about why in America we have so much cereal. We have a whole cereal aisle and vice versa. And one of the things I did after that tour, like I mean, I was still on the tour. Like I wrapped up the European leg of the tour, and then I flew ironically to Chicago for my next leg of the tour, but I had a day off and I went to the grocery store because my man was putting ketchup on pasta for every meal. And so I went to the grocery store and I bought every barbecue sauce I liked, every hot sauce I liked, a whole box. And this is back in like 2004 or something, right? I bought
Wow.
all these sauces and I shipped it to him. I overnighted it.
Oh man.
And yeah, it was kind of interesting. Recently, I was talking with one of my partners in the States that I guess I didn't know this, but he had toured with those same guys like 3 or 4 months later, and they were doing the same ketchup on the pasta. And my one of the guys like, hey, do you have any other sauces? And he's like, wait, Telly the rapper, he sent us a box of all these sauces, and we don't know what to do with them. Random
Oh,
story, but that's one of the like one of the it's cool to interact culturally with people and develop these lifelong relationships so that we have these stories and we can help each other progress and impact and affect each other.
yes, I totally agree with you on that. 100%. 100%. I was when I was looking at from your profile when it was saying you went from a hustler to a mongrel. That was actually pretty interesting. Then I saw how you were um, dipping and dabbing into music, and you had like a whole culture thing going on. Um, and I love that. How much of that have you instilled in your children?
It's funny. A lot. My daughter is like very like she moves the way she moves and it's cool. Like we're besties. Like we roll. But she's not like I'm a hip hop guy. That's my era, and she's like heavy in the anime and kind of gothish stuff, and that's how her cultural interests are manifesting themselves, which is cool to see because I'm not that's not me but it's interesting to be a part of and watch it flourish, watch her flower blossom into what she's going to become.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So you only have one child?
I have my 10-year-old daughter, and then I have um my daughter that she's 26. She's in Phoenix. I go see her. I go see her from time to time. She kind of built her own life, and you
No.
know, one of the pitfalls of coming from a rough environment. I had her when I was 14, and I did as much as I could and was involved as involved as I could be, but I didn't know how to be a lot of those things. So
Yeah,
she's really close with her grandpa, and I mean I talk to him all the time, and I go see them as much as possible, and we're good, but she grew in a direction that I was only able to be a small part of because of the dynamic.
that's
Um,
understandable.
but as far as like as far as culture goes, man, I was ironically enough, I was in Phoenix doing a talk. And I also was visiting my daughter. I visited my daughter on this trip, but this kid came to me, and it was like I was like probably 60 people came, and I was on a panel, and then after the panel, they were talking about how to parlay their interests into businesses, and there was this one kid that was telling me he has this piece of commercial property that he's trying to get off the ground, but he's also like really into hip hop, and how can he use this property? And I was like, okay, well, what else? What else you into? He's like, well, I really love books. I said, okay, well, why not take your passion for literature and your passion for hip hop and create a a a hip hop driven book store that all that you're doing pop-up events. Maybe there's some poetry there, maybe you guys are going through, you're having a book club, your favorite things, and tie your passions to that business or that endeavor, like with the ice cream shop, right? It's called Colfax and Cream, right? It's on Colfax. It's kind of in a rougher part of town, that particular location. And I'm very passionate about art and murals, and I'm also still like a guy that comes from hip hop. So yeah, so when you go in there, I had some of the most talented graffiti artists burn the walls up, in the way that I thought would be cool, because I've been to Starbucks, right? And it feels like I'm sitting in a Motel 6 lobby. I don't like that. Like, I feel like we can do better as humans. So for me, and my wife, what we thought would be cool is, let's take our culture and let's create a business and a brand that we can stand on, and let's see if people enjoy that. And it's working. And I think when we're pursuing entrepreneurial endeavors, often we like default to this. It has to have this balance and has to check these boxes, and it's not the case. You can literally do anything you want. Like, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And go in that direction, right?
Yep. Yes, indeed. I totally agree with you on that, no doubt. One of the things that I like is, like you say, with you and your wife, me and my wife actually like to sometimes sit down and talk about different avenues and different things that we actually want to do outside of what we're already doing. And one of the main things is being able to travel to historical places, because we're real big on history and love like a lot of different places. Like, take for example Egypt, and just being able to walk inside of the pyramids and actually put a label on some of the things that we've already learned about the place and about the history of the place in the first place. So when you said that, when you were talking about how you and your wife, y'all doing things, you like, she's running the business and you're doing some other parts of the business, that is awesome. It's phenomenal, because not a lot of us can actually say, especially not us that come from the background that we came from, can actually say that I have a wife that's actually working with me. Some of them don't even understand the dynamic of it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what's cool about coming from where we come from. Me specifically, there was no, like, my father passed when I was 2.
Mhm.
Um, and I talk about this in Unleashing the Hustle. Like, there was no there like he wasn't there to sort of create these boundaries of how I'm supposed to be a man. So I made up the rules myself. Like, I didn't have anyone to look to, so I just like created a picture board of people that I thought were doing things that I wanted to do, and I manifested my own experience. And so, that's like, there's no, like, we get caught up in this idea that we have to be a certain way, and that's not the case. Like, we could literally develop our relationships. We should develop our relationships to where we're experiencing and enjoying the people that we're spending our lives with.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
The
indeed.
the cultural standards that are presented to us, that's something else. Like, that's, these commercials we watch, they're trying to sell us something. That doesn't mean that that's how that has to be. you
Exactly.
know I'm happily married to my wife. I i we rarely sleep in the same room. She's
Oh, wow.
usually, I'm in the nightclub industry, so I'm usually coming in and out late hours, weird hours. I'm moving around. She has a certain schedule. That doesn't mean that it's not working. Like, we're great, and that's fine. Like, there, you don't need this picture perfect dynamic. That's an idea they're selling you because they want you to have a product. In reality, you take your relationship and you make it work, as you know, you being the relationship guy, right? You make it work within the environment that you're existing in.
Exactly. Instead of like one of the things I like to tell some of the guys because they have that stigmatism about them, about that whole stereotype that when I got to graduate from school, I gotta get this education, and then I go out and get this job, and then I go out and get this house. They don't realize that they're building a reputation for being in debt. They don't understand that when you step outside of that, then you're not only building a reputation to be successful, but you're actually building a lifestyle to be successful. Once they see those dynamics and see the difference in what I'm doing versus what they're doing, then they're looking like, man, you said this a long time ago. Yeah, I did say this a long time ago, but I tried to get you to jump on board with me so we can work together, and you didn't want to do that. And when you do stuff like that and you start telling them and teaching them and showing them different things, then they're like, man, I should have done this a long time ago. Yeah, I totally agree with you. You should have done this a long time ago. So now that I'm working hard and doing all the things that I want to do to build on my own success and expound upon my own success, what are you doing? So do you have those types of moments where you kind of like your friends, your previous friends that you grew up with are looking at you now like, man, you're a totally different person from the person that we knew before?
Yeah, often I think when I think back on where I came from, it feels like a movie, right? Because it's so far away. It's like it's not in my day to day, and I'm still up with a lot of my people, and um, I have those conversations. A lot of them, they were sold a dream of a certain thing, and they're living in that product that they were sold. Me, I've always been one to live life on my own terms, and I've just found that I've spent I've grown with other people that also chose to live on their own terms. Um,
Yes.
but I still, people come to Denver, and I'll show them a good time at one of the venues, and I'll go back home from time to time and run into people at, like, this place or that place, and we talk, and they're like, man, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? And I talk with them and help them and interact or whatever. But not I'm from a place called Grand Junction, which is about 4 hours away, and I
Mhm.
live in Denver, and so I don't see a lot of them as much, like you, like being in Texas, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I stay up with people, and anytime someone asks anything of me, I try to give them all of me in that moment.
Yes, indeed. I agree with you on that. So look, I know one thing, Denver, Colorado is one of the places that's on my bucket list, and I do want to visit there. So don't be surprised if I reach out and be like, "Hey, bro, I'm coming up there to Denver. I want
Yeah,
you to show."
hit me on the email, and give me your handles, and I'll connect with you on all the stuff, and I would love to build with you. Like I said, I love networking with people that are living life on their own terms, that are pursuing life in a way that's unique to them.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I absolutely would love to stay in contact, and would love to, you know, when you guys come into town, I'll show you, whatever, and likewise, like I have business in Austin. I'm gonna be out there as well. I'm one of the things that I'm passionate about, that I'm working on right now. I'm in the service industry, and I've been in the service industry for a long time. And I'm
Mhm.
working with this company called Chow. It's a nonprofit that was formed after Anthony Bourdain passed. And the whole mission is to help get information to people in the service industry, because the service industry can be tough. There's a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, and they don't
Yeah.
really know. A lot of people don't know how to get balance. And so one of the things we're doing, I have this event that I'm doing with a brand called Diageo, and then this company called Chow, and we're traveling to different markets. Right now we're looking at Phoenix, LA, and Vegas, and potentially Miami, but probably Houston too, or Austin too. And what it is it's just an event where we find a bar we invite everybody from the service industry that we can get in the room, and we just give them all access to all of the resources that we've found in their markets, like how how loan brokers that are more adept to giving people loans in the service industry,
Mhm.
um therapy, free access to therapy, free access to yoga, like just different things that can help improve people in the service industry. Because, we go to the bars and we go to the restaurants and we enjoy those things, but we're not realizing those people are usually living on the fringe and their life is pretty chaotic. And so that's one of the things that I'm doing in conjunction with the book Unleashing the Hustle. Is like I have this thing called Here's to You, and it's just we're just trying to celebrate people and specifically in the service industry because I know those folks well.
That is awesome, man. I love that. Kudos, definitely kudos out to you. So believe it or not, we're actually getting close to our time.
Oh, word. Well, hey, it was good. It was good to meet you, man. And I do mean send me your stuff on the email and let's connect, man. I mean that.
So I want you to give our people some motivational to take us out.
You know, you will be surprised at what you can achieve if you just put one foot in the front of the other every single day. You
Mhm.
know, I at COVID, I was running one bar and it was cool. I was on that trajectory and I made a decision that, you know what, I'm gonna go and just live it however I want to live it. And I'm gonna give it how I want to give it. And, since COVID, I got three successful businesses. I'm running five nightclubs.
Awesome.
Um and I'm living life on my terms. And all that was is I made a decision that I was gonna live it and give it the way that I wanted to.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, that's words to live by. Please, everybody, make sure you are paying attention to the advice that Tully is giving because I'm telling you, when you can live life on your own terms, when you are living life on your own terms, it is a beautiful thing. And it's not about what someone sees in you or how someone sees you. It's about you finally being free to expose and express who you truly are and what you truly are. That's what it's about.
Yep. All right, player. Well, hey, thank you for having me on the podcast. I look forward to hearing from you.
And definitely let the audience know where they can actually reach you and reach out to get your
So
book.
I'm gonna spell my name out. My name is spelled TULLIEBAILEY. You can find me at tullybailey.com or at Tully Bailey on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the places. TULLIEBAILEY.
No doubt, no doubt. And just know I will be following you on social media too. So be
Yeah,
my
holla, man. Let's build. Let's build for real.
definitely, no doubt, man. Well, thank you so much, Sally. You are definitely awesome. Greatly appreciate you, man. Looking forward to connecting with you after this. Many blessings to you, man. Keep on going. Don't never stop, bro. Keep
Likewise, man. Likewise. Thank you.
have a great one, man. Peace and blessings to you, bro.
Likewise. See, talk to you soon.
Yeah.